Well, today it's my pleasure to have with us VanDella Menifee, a community leader. And VanDella is going to be talking about developing a positive attitude in a difficult situation. And I want to read her bio, which is very impressive. Since 2005, when she moved to North Texas from Atlanta, VanDella Menifee has been at the forefront of serving the Dallas-Fort Worth community. She was awarded the Woman of the Year Award by the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce. Since her retirement in 2012, she's been volunteering with schools and nonprofits in Dallas, Fort Worth, Lancaster, Arlington, Mansfield, and Grand Prairie ISD, along with several nonprofits. She loves spending time with her husband, Robert, and sons, William and Richard. VanDella's huge smile, which you will see, and servant heart are hard to miss. And I know you'll love hearing from her today. So please, let's welcome VanDella Menifee.
Thank you for having me, Derek. I am so glad to have this opportunity to be with you today.
Well, I am thrilled to have you with us, and I think those people watching will really get a lot out of this. So why don't we jump right in? We talk about positive attitude, but VanDella, why is positive thinking so important?
Well, Derek, I believe that positive thinking is so important because I believe that we all have superheroes in us. And when we talk about superheroes, it gives us the energy and it gives us the opportunity to think that we can accomplish the impossible. And a lot of the times when you think that you can and you know that you can, most of the time you do that thing. And when you think about superheroes, they are changing lives. And when we are superheroes, we find ways to not only change our lives, but change the lives of others. And that comes with positive thinking.
That's so well put. And, on the other side of that, why can having a negative attitude be so costly to our well-being?
Well, Derek, when you think about the negative in anything, it becomes costly to you physically and mentally. For example, I have a traumatic brain injury from an accident that occurred in 2017, and then being recently in another accident that caused me to have another concussive head injury. And those things in itself, it has impaired my thinking skills, my speech, but yet I've tried to find ways not to be negative because it can impact my treatment. It can impact my mental abilities of recovery. It can impact my physical ability of recovery. And then you sometimes find yourselves in a situation where you think that there's no other way to get out, and you start surrounding yourselves with people who are thinking negatively. But when you surround yourself around people who are positive and thinking positively, just like in my situation, I'm so glad that I'm still alive because I'm here for a reason. And just thinking about that in a positive manner, it has helped my recovery.
And now let me ask you this to kind of be personal a little bit. You have faced quite a bit of adversity. How have you chosen to stay positive? Because I'm sure there are days you might wake up and easily say, man, this is not a good day. But how do you overcome that and offer some practical steps to those watching who may be in a similar situation as well?
Well, Derek, it's easy. And even for myself, um, I have always been a person that volunteered, that did multiple things. In my past career, I was able to manage our agency's entire population. At the time, it was 216,000 inmates. And then transitioning on to my retirement and attending events, sometimes 4 and 5 a day, and still not being tired, to after my accident going to nothing, because physically and mentally, I could not do anything because I was going to therapy, going to treatment, and trying to find a way to heal myself you become withdrawn, but you have to decide within yourself, is this the person that I want to be? No, and sometimes you have to look within and say, okay, if I can just get up one more day, it's going to be better. If I can just get through the next hour, it's going to be better. When you talk to that person that you receive the unexpected phone call from, when you're in an environment with people that you don't really know, going to my appointments and talking to other people in that environment, it's very encouraging. So you try and find something positive out of every negative situation.
That's so well put. There's always a silver lining. You just have to find it. Sometimes it
You
takes,
have to find it, yes.
yes. Someone listening right now might feel very discouraged and angry about a situation they find themselves in, possibly out of their control. What advice and words of encouragement would you give to them right now?
Well, uh, when when I'm thinking about words of encouragement, I'm thinking about the Arlington Lifeline Shelter. And when we talk about shelter, we think of a building, but a lot of times the shelter isn't always the shelter, the building, it's the shelter that's within us. For example, when I was growing up, I grew up in Chicago, and where I grew up, in my surroundings was not the best. There was broken glass instead of grass, but I needed to change my surroundings. And I transferred myself to another high school because I knew that there was something within me that needed to change. And when you're talking about a positive attitude, that change in itself allowed me to go to another high school. I took up business. Then I went to the University of Illinois through an upward bounds program, and I got a job working on cadavers. I wanted to be a medical examiner at one time. And fast forward, after I graduated from college, I was working with a friend of mine, and I found out through a program that we were doing together that my siblings was one time homeless.
Wow.
And I was, I for one, I was shocked that they had been in that situation. My sister, she had lived in her car with her, at the time, husband, with their infant son for several months. And she decided that she was going to change her circumstances. She decided to join the Navy, and that changed her circumstances. And she eventually finished college, and she obtained her master's degree. And then I didn't know that my brother was homeless. When he separated from his first wife, he lived out of his car and couch surfed for several months.
Mhm.
And after their divorce, he ended up saving money and ended up buying his first home. But I asked, why did you reach out to someone when there were so many resources that were available to you, even within our family? But sometimes people have the they don't have enough to reach out to someone because they're ashamed. And sometimes there are people that they don't want them to know their circumstances. But organizations such as the Arlington Life Shelter, there are people there. You have staff, you have volunteers, even the people that come there for the services there, they're changing their lives, and these are the people that you want to surround yourself with.
Well, I like what you said at the end there. Sometimes getting yourself in a more positive position means choosing who you're around, because
Yes.
you tend to feed off the people you're around as well. And when you think about this in difficult times, it's so easy to slip into negative thinking and even self-pity, just feeling sorry for yourself. Why do we as humans tend to respond negatively to situations that make us angry, uncomfortable, even ungrateful?
That's an interesting question. Probably you have to live in gratitude.
Mm,
And oftentimes, because of access to the cell phones now, access to the internet in the schools. People are, you can always find something that's negative, but if you find a way to live in gratitude and appreciate the things that you have and maintain a positive attitude, because your attitude can oftentimes determine your altitude in life. So you want to find something that's positive, because there are so many things that are surrounding us that are positive, and it takes effort to find some. There's so many things that are negative, but it takes effort to find things that are positive, just like the things that they're doing at the Arlington Life Shelter.
That's good. You know, when you think about staying positive, can you give us an example of when you were in a negative situation and then you had a choice to make? You could choose to go down that negative path, or you can make the harder choice and go down the positive path. Can you share with us an example of that and how you chose and what you decided to do?
I absolutely can. Uh, Prime example, and I'm sharing this because I haven't shared it in a while. When I was growing up in Chicago, there was a mother and daughter having a physical altercation. And as I stepped off the bus, the mother put the weapon that she had assaulted her daughter with, that was probably about this big, which in essence could have ended me up in jail with a felony because of the size of the weapon. The police officer saw the mother put the weapon in my bag, and he pulled me to the side and said, "Young lady, do you know what you just did?" And I just looked and I stared at him, because I knew that everything that I had worked for was flashing before my very eyes. And it was like my school, my dreams, and everything based on that one circumstance. I was about to ruin my entire life. But that officer looked at me, because the school that I attended, you had to dress in a professional attire. And he said, "Young lady," he said, "this isn't the environment for you. And I know that you're trying to make something of yourself. You attend Jones Commercial." He said, "I'm going to let you go this time. You need to take this opportunity and reflect and make better choices. This isn't the life that you want to lead." And I eventually retired as a federal law enforcement officer. But
Wow.
that one instance could have changed my life forever.
Such a good example. And also, as you say that, VanDella, what hits me is not only are we working to be individually positive, but also how can we share a positive affirmation to someone else? And sometimes, even if we're not feeling positive, the more positive we are to others, it helps us feel more positive, and we're making a big contribution. Like as I'm talking to you right now, I see you as this bubbly, energetic, you're a person that gets things done. But to think that that one officer may have played such a role in helping pivot you, that's
Yes,
amazing to think that one person had such a big impact on someone like yourself.
yes, absolutely. Well, I don't have to go too far when it comes to this, because right before me is you, Derek. And if you haven't had the opportunity to listen to your podcast like I do, I look forward to hearing your podcast every week. And for those of you who are listening to this video, I would encourage you, you have a cell phone. I know that you do. Download the app, and every week there are positive affirmations that are recorded from people who you think aren't ordinary people, but you will come to find out they're people just like you and I. They've had circumstances that have changed their lives. And it just goes to show you that regardless of where you are in life, it's never too late as long as you keep on living. One thing that I do, Derek, and you probably don't even know this, you're probably knowing this now. Every day, or almost every day, or in the morning or at night, I read what you wrote. And this is what it says. Here's the truth. Life doesn't have to be like this for you. Money is not bad. And good people like you should have more of it. Good money in the hands of good people gets good work done. And Derek, that is such an inspiration to me every day because I want to be one of those good people. And I am sure people that are listening to this, they want to be one of those good people too. It's just a matter of your circumstances right now, but having the control of your circumstances and your mental attitude can change your life.
Wow. Well, thanks for the mention of the podcast. I appreciate it. I do hope each of those people watching use all of the resources, listen to this video multiple times. Of
Yes.
course, check out the podcast. But the bottom line is there's always positivity around you. You just have to take the time to look and find it. And shifting gears a bit, VanDella, how do we keep ourselves from slipping back into a negative mindset? I know if you're like me, life is like a ladder and you make one step and you feel good, and you make another step and things are going great. And all of a sudden, you fall back down the ladder again and you feel like a failure and you've got to restart. So, how do you process that and how do you put that in perspective of, okay, something bad happened, I can restart my positive journey again?
Wow. Life is a journey. And you have to always wake up every day. If you wake up and know that you're here, that's part of your positive journey. And just having a grateful heart. Have you what I called a G heart friend? And I think that my husband Robert is probably my G heart friend because Robert is truly the wind beneath my wings. He always finds a way to say something positive to make us laugh. When you first meet him, you think he was a really serious person, but he is the most grateful person that I have ever met. Regardless of the circumstances, he will find something positive to be grateful for. For example, he always say, people say that, I only have a half glass, the glass is half full. But for Robert, it's not that you have a half a glass, you have something to drink out of. It's not just it's half full, but you actually have something to drink out of. And just having that attitude and finding someone that you can say as your G heart friend or your grateful heart friend can help you whatever you're going through. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the same person all the time. Find some random person and just tell them what you're grateful for. When you come into the Arlington Life Shelter, find one person that you can say, I am so grateful for being here. And I am grateful today for this one thing. I'm grateful today that I'm able to be here. And being grateful and having that attitude will definitely change your altitude.
Well, I like what you're saying too, VanDella, is that it's a choice.
Yes.
Every moment, people think of, I've got to make a choice once a day, but it's a daily set of choices that whatever's happened to you, and I don't know, those of you watching right now, what your background is, you may have had success and fallen back, you may be restarting. I don't know, but what I do know is we all have a set of choices that all of us make every day. And the ones that you make can lead to a very positive outcome. And, VanDella, you mentioned gratitude. Tie in together for those watching the importance of how gratitude really connects with a positive attitude.
Just thinking about my attitude, and this is just me personally, I haven't always had success. People see me now and not have no idea where I came from. but it was my attitude that I had, that I wanted to one day change my circumstances. And that's why I love giving back to those who are less fortunate, and giving of my time, my resources, my skill set, whatever I have to give because someone gave to me. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to always have money. And when you are able to give of something, it makes you feel better about the circumstances that you're in, because you're able to give something to someone else, and volunteering gives you that feeling of being grateful, not just for your circumstances, but being able to help someone else in their circumstances well, regardless of what your current condition.
That's so good. So, what are some ways, and make this really practical, VanDella, for people to maintain a grateful heart? Are there things that you say to yourself? Are there things that you read? What is it that reminds you on a regular basis to stay grateful and really be appreciative of whatever you have, even though it may be the smallest possible thing in that moment?
Sometimes just having a reminder. Sometimes you can, as I always go back to, your cell phone, set up your cell phone where you can get reminders of those positive affirmations.
Mhm.
Write it down. Find you, like I have these pads. I'm always writing something down, and to pick it up to see what I was thinking last year, this year, years ago. I have these pads like everywhere, and sometimes just being able to go back and reflect on those things, it makes a difference. It really does.
So good, so good. VanDella, this has been really, really powerful. And some of the takeaways that I've had, as you shared earlier with you mentioned the accidents that you've had. Obviously, you could have chosen to go negative and
Yes.
say, woe is me, and I can't believe this happened. But you have found a way to address those issues head on, and look at you now. You're a positive force in the community. And I would just let each of our viewers know the same thing, that wherever you're at in life right now, just by taking one step and then another step and another step, is how you're rebuilding and you're building those positive moves. So, VanDella Menifee, this has been great. Thank you so much for being with us today.